Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Gardener. So of late I have seen, in fact I had got a message on my Instagram a couple of days back. The person had recently purchased the succulent, and probably they have purchased a succulent that came in a clump. Now always remember guys, I know we would always love to have succulents with a clumps ready made, because it takes a very long time for a succulent to look like this with the mother plant and all of the pups around it. But you have to be extremely careful. You do not need to be in a hurry. The moment you receive your succulent, the most important thing is you have to focus on the succulent getting acclimated in your environment. Offer it a good amount of indirect bright light, make it feel comfortable rather than starting to rip it apart. Now what happened is, the said person purchased the succulents, they received the succulents and it came in a clump, and the person asked me, can I separate the offsets? Now guys, it's not even been 2 days of receiving the succulent. Focus on the health of the succulent, focus on how you are going to make the succulent comfortable in your environment rather than starting to cut off the pups. Because remember, once the succulent comes in, it has been traveling in the box, let's say for 3 days or 4 days, it has been in a dark place. Probably it could be dehydrated, probably it could be lacking sunlight. It needs to be comfortable rather than the moment it comes to your place you start cutting it off and pulling out the leaves. That's not right, because that is going to damage the succulent further. If you receive a clump like this, keep it in indirect bright light, offer the right type of soil mix, all the basic needs that the succulent needs, which is loose, porous, well draining soil mix which is lean in nutrients. Keep it in indirect bright light, because that's not very strong. It is not going to make the succulent uncomfortable. We do not want to make the succulent uncomfortable, or we do not want it to struggle in our new environment, because remember, the succulent is also putting in enough efforts in order to acclimate and get adjusted in your environment, and then the worst you can do is start cutting it off. Now the reason why I advise is not to cut it off, I can understand a lot of people are scared. They think that probably the mother plant might die, probably something could go wrong, so they want to save the succulent. But maybe in that process you might happen to actually damage the succulent. Let's say the succulent comes to your place, you open the package, you see the succulent, and you start breaking the pups apart. Now over here, what's going to happen is, one, maybe the pups do not have roots. The pups are very fragile. Remember, these are babies. They are coming into the new environment. They are very fragile. They are very delicate. Right now, let them stay with the mother plant, because the mother plant can nurture it much better than what we can do. So always leave the pups as it is. Even though they are decent size, they can be separated, but then don't do it right away. Probably you can do it 2 or 3 or 4 months down the line. The succulent will be completely adjusted and acclimated in your environment. Probably by then, if the pups don't have roots, they will also have roots. But the moment you are going to separate them, the succulent that was supposed to get comfortable or was supposed to get adjusted in the new environment is now going to focus more on healing of the cuts. Probably it's going to start putting out roots on the pups. So it's going to stress the succulent even more, in a bad way, not in a good way, in a bad way. The succulent is going to struggle to put new roots. The succulent is going to struggle to heal its wounds, and it's going to be very risky. God forbid the environment gets little bad, probably it starts to rain, you are going to be in trouble, because all of the cuts are going to be open. There is going to be open cut, which in case if it comes in contact with moisture will start to rot. So you have to be extremely careful. Let the succulent be with the pups. Let the mother plant be with the pups. There is no hurry. As I've said this earlier as well, it's not a competition that how many succulents you have or what is the collection you have. What's more important is that how healthy your succulents are and how well you can maintain them. So let the pups stay with the mother plant. Don't separate them. Here you can see I have another set. This is my pink ruby. You can see I have not separated the pups. I think they have been together since the day they have come in, and I don't feel like separating them. And over here I have some more. This is my haworthia green emerald. You can see they have been together. They're doing quite well. Same thing with my haworthia lolnensis, you can see how well the pups tend to look like. I have not separated them since they have come in. They have always been together, so always let them stay together. Don't pull them out. That is further going to damage the plant. It's further going to stress the plant. The succulent has already traveled in the box, in the dark box, without much of air circulation, without much of light, and now when it has come into an open space, let it breathe rather than start ripping it apart. Now, while we are speaking about this video, I also wanted to show you my Graptovaria bashful. Remember, in my last video I said I am slowly acclimating it to morning direct sunlight, because in my last video it was not very colored because it was the initial stage of stressing it, but now the acclimation process is completed, which means that now it is in morning direct sunlight for 5 to 6 hours. So now you can see the colors have started to show up. I will put up the previous clip on the right hand side so you will see the difference. Now it has yet to get a lot of color because you can still see there is a lot of greens in this side of the leaves, whereas this side it's already starting to turn red because I think the sun was kind of facing this side. So this side it's still green, but this side it's almost starting to stress. You can see that beautiful red colors showing up. At the same time, as you can see on the right hand side how it looked earlier, there was a lot of greens on it. If I would have put that green succulent directly in morning sunlight for 5 to 6 hours without acclimating it, it would have definitely got burnt. But now that we have done a very slow acclimation, you can see all the leaves are in best condition. They are slowly starting to stress up because again the environment is also getting quite cool. So I am very happy offering a good amount of morning direct sunlight for 5 to 6 hours. So guys, that was all about it. Just be very careful. Succulents are quite easy. I would say they are not very difficult. Even if you are a beginner, if you're going to start your collection very slow, it is very easy to handle. Of course, if you are a beginner and you're going to buy 50 succulents in one go, then it is going to be very tricky and challenging for you to grow succulents. But if you have a very minimum number, let's say for beginners, I would say an ideal collection count would be anywhere between 3 to 4 succulents. Focus on those 3 to 4 succulents. The best thing what you can do is try to buy succulents of the same genus so you can care for them. Like, don't get a mix of lot of succulents because, as I said, a lot of succulents have very different needs. So if you are a beginner and you're getting succulents, try to get succulents of the same genus so you will be able to focus on them properly. A lot of times what I've seen, people tend to buy all mixed succulents, all random succulents. They are not very sure, because when you tend to ask me a question without showing me the picture, I'm not very sure what variety of succulent you would be having. Like for example, echeverias, most of the echeverias are colored. They require a morning direct sunlight for 5 to 6 hours. Whereas in echeverias itself, you have some succulents that are chubby, whereas some succulents that have very thin leaves. So there you have a difference in watering. Then comes your haworthias. Haworthias like a little bit more watering, but they do not prefer direct sunlight. They prefer indirect bright light. So when you get a lot of succulents together, random succulents, you have no clue about it, you are a beginner, it is going to be very, very challenging. So if you are a beginner, get only 3 to 4 succulents and try to get 4 echeverias, because echeverias would have the same requirements in terms of sunlight, 5 to 6 hours of morning direct sunlight after acclimating it. They don't require a lot of watering. The soil has to be completely bone dry. So with those 4 succulents, you will be able to handle them much better. Or you can get 4 types of different haworthias, because they again will have the same requirements. All of them would prefer indirect bright light and a little bit more of watering. In this way, you will be able to handle them much better. And once you get a complete experience with them, then you can move ahead and get some other variety or probably a succulent from other genus. So in this way, you can start your collection on a very small note rather than getting a lot of succulents together, and then it tends to become a little difficult for you. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.